750,000 people are on the streets of Barcelona for a pro-independence rally. It comes after the disputed Catalan president accused Spain of using next month's regional elections to play politics in an interview with Sky News.
If the elections are held in normality and have the approval of citizens, the results must always be recognised. I ask myself, is the Spanish government prepared to recognise a result that gives the victory to pro-independence forces? Because this is the key. Is my or a pro-independence person's vote worth the same as a Catalan who isn't pro-independence? It doesn't look like it. It seems with Article 155, if the Spanish government doesn't like the result, they'll continue applying it.
Well, our Europe correspondent Michelle Clifford is in Barcelona where that rally is being held this evening. Michelle, a huge turnout. What exactly are people calling for? What do they want to see happen next?
Well, the major thing about this march today, and as you mentioned, it was a massive turnout, is they were demanding the release of separatist leaders. There are 10 people in prison at the moment. 8 of them are former government ministers in Catalonia. They are facing possible charges of rebellion, sedition and misuse of public funds. Now, the people who gathered here today very firmly believe that those individuals are what they call political prisoners. They think that the court and the government, the courts and the government in Madrid are not independent of each other, that the Madrid government is very much using the courts, as the people here will say, to do their work for them. So essentially, this march today was about demanding the release of separatist leaders. It is the first major pro-independence march since the declaration of independence a couple of weeks ago. And I have to say, in the days since, I think people's feelings have very much cemented. Anger has cemented also because the Madrid government moved to impose Article 155 of the Constitution, take control of this region and suspend autonomy. Then we saw the action of the courts, and people are saying very firmly that their beliefs are not being respected. They are saying in the elections next month, because regional elections were also called by the Madrid government, that they very, very much now are absolutely committed to pushing for independence. There's no guarantee, though, that the independence movement will get the result it wants. Certainly Carles Puigdemont from Brussels had called for all of the separatist political parties to work together in union. It doesn't look like that is going to happen. So it could be that Carles Puigdemont finds himself not victorious in the election on December the 21st. It is a political risk now going into that election. But very much the opinion here is that those who were jailed for their beliefs should be released.
Michelle, thank you. Well, joining us now from Madrid is Alana Moceri, who's an analyst and professor at the Universidad Europea de Madrid. Welcome to you this evening. Carles Puigdemont has said that democracy has been damaged by Madrid. Would you agree with that sentiment?
No. And I think it's really important the words we use. It's not Madrid versus Barcelona. It is the Spanish government. This is really important. The words matter a lot. It is not the Madrid government. It is the government of all of Spain. And it is most of the parties. So you've got not only the more conservative PP party, but you have the socialists, and then you also have the right of center Ciudadanos party that are all together in terms of the use of Article 155. So I think that's a really important first point. And also that the people who have been jailed, they have not been jailed for their political beliefs. They have been jailed because they have done illegal things. They have taken illegal actions. And so it's really important to be careful with how we're presenting all of this, because certainly these people, the independent activists in Catalonia, deserve their voice and should be out in the streets protesting if that's what they want to do. That's important, and make their voices heard. But it's really important that when we're talking about this in the media, that we're being very precise about the terms we're using.
But those thousands of people out on the streets in Barcelona tonight, they would say that their leaders that have been imprisoned, they are political prisoners.
I really don't see how you can call them political prisoners. What they did was illegal. Every single step that the Catalan government has taken has been illegal. And I wish I could say otherwise, but it's been a very surreal time for I think particularly political scientists here and also constitutional professors, law professors, because we see a series of illegal acts. And I know it's not sexy. A big giant protest in the streets is much more interesting, especially for the television media, for all the media, because they're great photos and it's spectacular. But the thing is, we also need to be careful about what is and isn't the rule of law. And the referendum was illegal to begin with. What these leaders did in Catalonia was they flouted the law in Spain, and that's despite the fact that there is political will amongst the people of Spain and certainly amongst some of the political parties to do the constitutional reform necessary to be able to get to an actual legal referendum. But they wanted to skip those steps. And that's what makes the whole thing just a very difficult situation.
So the thousands of people out on the streets in Barcelona calling on the government to release their imprisoned separatist leaders, is their action illegal then? Should they have the right to call for this release?
Absolutely. I mean, they have the right to protest. That's political speech that's out there. The problem is that there's like two versions of reality happening in Spain right now. And it's also two different versions of history, two different versions of what the rule of law is. And so, unfortunately, what we're seeing is it's important to also remember that the people who want independence in Catalonia, by all polls, are somewhere around 50% of the people in Catalonia, and the other 50% of the people in Catalonia don't want independence. So they've made their voices heard in a couple protests as well, and that's been important. But usually the people who have what they want aren't usually out loudly protesting. It's the people who are angry and upset that take political action and that go to protests. So it's important to remember that just the loudest voice isn't necessarily the right voice or the voice that has any legal weight behind it. And so certainly they should be out there. I think it's important. But at the same time, there's legal ways of doing this, and their leaders need to be honest with them in terms of what's possible and what's not possible at this point. I think that they do better if they try to actually focus some actions on connecting with Spaniards in other parts of Spain, because this is a decision that has to be taken by all of Spain. And they haven't been. They've been focusing on trying to get their message out to the world, which has made Spaniards angry because they feel like the image of Spain is being damaged, and they're calling Spain an undemocratic country. Spain is the country that went through the most the model of the transition.
Just very quickly, I wonder if you could give us your predictions for the elections on December the 21st. How do you see that playing out briefly?
Well, it's difficult because we're still seeing how these lists are being formed. The list for the Izquierda Republicana, the far left party that's part of the independence movement, includes a lot of members who are under arrest or they've been called for their arrest. And the same thing with Puigdemont's party, the PDeCAT. Those two parties are also really difficult bedfellows because the PDeCAT is a right-of-center party and Izquierda Republicana is a very far-left party. So it's going to be important to see if those two parties are going to be able to hold their coalition together and what the other parties in Catalonia do. The socialists were out today showing unity, and so we've been seeing polls kind of coming in, but I think it's way too early to tell what might happen on December 21st.
Okay. Alana Moceri, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us. Thank you.